Hello and welcome to Godly Play. Come, join the circle. I'm so glad you're here. I'm wondering who you've brought with you today. There's lots of room. I hope you're enjoying this beautiful day, and I'm so glad you took some time out of it to come and be in the circle with us today. Now, time to get ready for Godly Play with our bodies, with our eyes, our ears, and our hearts. Now, looking at the calendar of the church, the circle of the church year, we're counting the days after Pentecost. And here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That was last week. 10 Sundays after Pentecost. And now we're going to move the handle. Let's put those right. To the 11th Sunday after Pentecost in these green and growing times. So that's where we are. In August, in the green and growing days. And now, there was once someone who did such wonderful things and said such amazing things that people began to follow him. And as they did, they wondered who he was. And they couldn't help themselves. They just had to ask him. And one of the times when they asked him who he was, he said, "I am the light." Let's enjoy the light. I see the love of God in you, the light of Christ comes shining through, and I am blessed to be with you, O holy child of God. And this light didn't stay in that one time and in that one place, because he changed the light so it can be in all places and in all times. Watch as we change the light. There it goes. Changing, moving, filling up the space where I am, the space where you are, wherever you are in this circle. This light is with you. And when we leave the circle, this light will go with us. So you ready for a story? Well, this week's story comes from the Old Testament of the Bible, and there are two books. And they come right after the book of Ruth that we were talking about last week. And these are the books of 1st and 2nd Samuel. So if you want to hear about this and read more about the story, that's where to look. When the people of God crossed into the promised land, they brought with them the ark, and they carried it up to a high mountain and put it down in a place called Shiloh. And around it they built up the tent for God. And the ark and the tent stayed there at Shiloh. Some of the people of God settled in the hills around Shiloh. And two of those people of God, Hannah and her husband Elkanah, settled in Ramah, not far from Shiloh. And every year they went to Shiloh because that was where the ark and the tent stayed. Now Hannah wanted very much to have a baby, to be a mother, but she had no children. So each year she went to Shiloh to pray. One of these times she prayed so deeply that one of the priests at the tent, named Eli, was worried about her and came out to see if he could help. When Hannah told him that she was praying to God to have a child, Eli sat with her and prayed too. Well, Hannah and Elkanah had a child, and they named him Samuel, which means someone sent from God. When Samuel was old enough, Hannah and Elkanah took him to Shiloh to live with Eli, the priest, and to learn how to take care of the ark and the tent. Now, Hannah came to see Samuel every year and to pray and give thanks. And every year, she brought a new coat for Samuel. The years passed. And one night, when Samuel was lying on his sleeping mat in the tent, he heard a voice call, "Samuel, Samuel." Samuel got up from his sleeping mat and ran to Eli, thinking that Eli had called him. But Eli said, "No, I wasn't calling you. Go back and lie down." So Samuel went back and lay down. And then again, "Samuel, Samuel." Samuel rose up and ran to Eli once again, asking if he was calling. And once again, Samuel sent him back to lie down, saying, "No, I did not call you." And then a third time, "Samuel, Samuel." This time, when Samuel got up and went to Eli, Eli realized that it was God who was calling Samuel. So he said to Samuel, "Go back and lie down. And if the voice calls again, say, 'Speak, Lord, your servant hears.'" So Samuel went back and lay down. And again, "Samuel, Samuel." And this time Samuel said, "Speak, Lord, for your servant hears." And God told Samuel that Eli's sons and the people of God would be in a great battle and that they would lose the ark, and that Eli would fall down and die when he heard the news. In the morning, Samuel told Eli what God had said to him. And the people of God did lose the ark and the tent in a battle, and Eli died. And since there was no longer an ark or priests at Shiloh, Samuel went home to live with his parents. But Samuel was so wise and so just that he became a leader among the people of Israel, known as a judge. And Samuel was also a true prophet. One day, the people of God came to Samuel and said, "We want a king." They wanted to be like other nations. So Samuel prayed to God and set out to look for a king, someone who was good enough to be just the right person to be king. And when Samuel saw Saul, he knew at once he was the one. So Samuel made Saul king by pouring oil all over his head, anointing him as king. Now, Saul led the people of God in battle. He led the armies, and he ruled for a long time in Israel. But in time, the Spirit of God left Saul. And God said to Samuel, "Go and find a new king and anoint him." So Samuel went to Bethlehem, to the family of Jesse, and found David, the youngest of Jesse's sons. And God told him that this was the one to be the next king after Saul. So Samuel anointed David as king, so that when Saul died, David would be the next king of Israel. When Samuel had done all the things that he had been called to do, he went back to Ramah and lived, and when he died, people came from all over Israel, and their hearts were filled with tears of sadness and thanksgiving for Samuel, the judge and the prophet of Israel. Now I wonder what part of the story of Samuel you like best. Tell the person that you're with. Or maybe you want to write it down in your journal or draw a picture about it. I'm not sure what you're going to do. I wonder what part of this story is the most important. I wonder what you think. I wonder where you are in the story. What part of this story is about you? And I wonder if there's any part of this story we can take away and still have all the story we need. What do you think? What about? Or how about, or or this. I wonder. Well, this is the story of Samuel. Here's the ark. Here is the baby Samuel born from prayer. Here are the coats that Hannah brought each year when she came to the temple at Shiloh to visit Samuel. Here's a sleeping mat where Samuel heard God call. And here is the oil for anointing a king of all Israel. And there we've unrolled the story of Samuel. And now it's time for the blessing. May the Lord bless you and watch over you. May the Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord look kindly on you and give you peace. Thank you for coming to Godly Play today. I know that the Lord will walk away from this circle with you into this day, into this week, and into this time of your life. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the love of God surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Blessings on you. Thanks for coming. See you next week. Bye.